Hello, my name is Pete Martin. This is a mandolin basics video. It's good for anyone who's just starting out on the mandolin and wants to learn efficient ways of using both hands and very basic things like how to hold the instrument. It's also very good for intermediate players that are looking how to use their hands more efficiently and being able to advance to their playing to a higher level by becoming much more comfortable with what they do. It's good for people with ergonomic problems looking at how to use their hands and arms much more efficiently. And it can even be good for advanced players that are running up against physical limitations. Maybe taking a look at some of these things that are ergonomically more efficient in your playing can really help stuff like that. My background is I've been a private lesson teacher full-time for nearly 30 years. I do have a fair amount of ergonomic background. In the early 90s I had very severe tendonitis to where I had to quit playing for pretty close to 3 years. Toward the end of that time in the Seattle area, I met a very well-known and very well-respected performing arts doctor who retrained me to where my technique was much more ergonomically efficient. And then, of course, when I told her I taught private lessons for a living, she showed me how to show these things. I continued very much to study ergonomics, especially as it related to the hands and arms and playing of stringed instruments. So I really tried to teach that. And because I found that, of course, more ergonomically efficient techniques mean that playing with less pain, of course, and playing much more mechanically efficient usually leads to much more relaxed playing, which quite often leads to being able to play at much higher speeds, more relaxed, and the music just flows much better. First, let's look at tuning an instrument. For somebody who is just starting out, who has never played an instrument they have to tune before, like a stringed instrument, I really suggest getting an electronic tuner. There's many types of electronic tuners. There's this type made by Intelli. This is an Intelli IMT 5000. It clips on the instrument like this. Reasonably accurate. It's really good for playing and tuning in jams where there's a lot of sound going on around you, because it senses the vibration through the instrument and it doesn't hear out in the air. A tuner cannot discern one sound. It hears everything. So if there's a whole bunch of people playing and noodling and talking and stuff and it's fairly loud, and you tune on a tuner that just has a microphone that picks up every sound it hears, you're not going to be able to tune to that because it won't be able to discern you from something else. So these are very good for that. Another type of tuner, this is one that I like to use quite a bit unless I'm in real crowded situations like I just described. This is a Seiko ST747. These tuners are relatively accurate. They're a little bit bigger than maybe a cigarette box, a little bit longer, about the size of my hand or so. It fits nicely in my case, and I think they're a little more accurate than these clip-on tuners are. Although, once again, this has a microphone pickup that when you play, if there's other sounds going on, you're not going to be able to use this one. For people that like really very, very accurate things, or if you're the type that just has to have the best in anything no matter what, I suggest a strobe tuner. This Peterson Virtual Strobe Tuner is extremely good, and they make these now in much smaller units than this that are more portable. These are not cheap. They're anywhere between $200 and $300 depending on where you get it. They're extremely accurate. They're much tougher to use, but you'll be really, really happy with how in tune your instrument is. Regardless of which tuner you use, there are some things that can really help with the tuning of an instrument. First of all, let's learn, before we get to the tuning, let's learn the names of the strings. The string that is closest to you or the lowest in pitch is called G. G like the letter good. The next one to the floor, or second lowest open string in pitch, D like dog. The second closest to the floor, or second highest in pitch, is A. And then the highest in pitch, or the thinnest string, or the one that's closest to the floor, is called E, like eat. Eat, I'm hungry. When little kids come to me for lessons, I like to teach them this. Good, dogs, always, eat. G-D-A-E, good, dogs, always, eat. So that's the name of your strings from the lowest pitch to the highest pitch. When you are tuning a string, remember the tuner hears everything that you play. It can't just hear one string and not hear the rest of them. There's a physics term called sympathetic vibration. What happens when I play the D string, the other D string will ring sympathetically. Go look up sympathetic vibration and see what it means. I don't want to spend the time explaining it, but it's just a fact of physics. It does happen. Also, if I play the open D string, the open G string rings and the open A string rings. The open A string ringing makes the open E string rings. They're a distance of what is called a fifth away, and except for the same pitch, the distance of a fifth is the one that rings most sympathetically. Now, without going into a big explanation of why, like I said, look it up if you're interested, the term sympathetic vibration. What happens is when you play an open string, almost all the rest of the strings ring with that, and the tuner has a hard time hearing one string over all the rest. So, what I think is the easiest and fastest way to tune a string is I deaden with the fingers of the left hand, my thumb and my index finger, the strings I'm not playing. So if I'm tuning this D string, D like dog, that is the closest to me, I'm deadening the other D string plus the two A's and two E's with my index finger, and I'm deadening the two G's with my thumb. There's one other thing I like to do that I think makes tuning a lot easier. Whenever you play a note, and then you let it ring like that, it goes slightly flat. It's called decay. Look at your tuner and you'll see this. When you first strike it, it'll be sharper, and as the string rings longer, it'll go flatter slightly. I think that we want to have our sound in tune to be the note right when we pick it, because we pick a lot of notes when we play this instrument. So it's my suggestion, when you use a tuner, you keep playing the same string. Okay? Then just tune your tuning peg to where it shows in tune with your tuner. The last thing I'm going to show you about tuning, I think you can get the second string much more in tune with the first string, not by tuning it to the tuner, but by using your ear. And I'll show you how right here. Let's say that I have tuned the D string that is closest to me, the one that's highest in terms of distance off the floor, and now I want to get the other one in tune. I'm going to take the one that's closest to the floor and turn it intentionally flat. Now I'm going to take the two D strings and play them together, and I'm going to tune the lower pitched one up until two different strings sounds like one, and then they're in pitch. Right there. That's how I like to teach people to tune. I think it's a very quick way to get the strings very nicely in tune.